One question that could come up is, should you use an addendum or should you use an amendment? What's the difference? They sound fairly similar. California didn't even used to have a form called an amendment before. Sometimes escrow companies will say amendment, others will say addendum. What's really the difference? It is helpful to know. One key difference, this is how I like to think about it for simplicity, is if you already have an agreement and you're going to change that agreement, then you are amending that agreement. If you have a signed contract, maybe there were counteroffers, but everything's signed, you have acceptance, you're, let's say, in escrow, and you have a complete contract package. And now one party or the other needs to renegotiate something, or something's changed, and everybody agrees to that change. What form would you use to do that? That would be an amendment. That's the cleaner way to do it. Usually an addendum is something additional, so you don't have an agreement yet, and you need more space to write something additional that doesn't have a place already in the contract templates. So that additional thing would go on an addendum. If it's a change to an existing agreement, amendment. If it's in addition to something that's not an agreed upon yet, then that's going to be an addendum. One other reason, just for some context of why the amendment is useful, is I have to kind of go back here in time a little bit, but the old way transactions were done and the only form available to realtors was an addendum form. What would happen is if something did need to get negotiated in the middle of the transaction, one side or the other would propose on an addendum, here's, we want to change the price, or we want to change the close of escrow date, or whatever it might be. And they're putting that on the addendum, and then the other party doesn't agree. So then they send an addendum back. They don't sign the first one, they send another one back. And now the original party like, well, we don't want that. And now here comes a third one. So you have all of these half-signed addendums that are just lingering, and you run the risk of someone later saying, well, we've changed our mind, circumstances are different, now we want that first one that you sent, and they go ahead and sign it. And is it really invalid or not? And it would create some confusion. One of the features on this amendment form is it says this proposed amendment expires by usually 3 days after it's written if the other side doesn't sign it. So instead of having this proposal that's just lingering and might come back into play if the other side signs it 2 weeks from now, there's now this expiration. So if it's not agreed upon by the other party, then it falls out. You don't have to worry about it just kind of being out there lingering. So yet another reason why you'd use the amendment rather than the addendum if you're changing something when you already have an agreed upon contract. With that, that's the addendum versus the amendment. You do want to use the right one. It's a sign of professionalism that you're using them appropriately. Don't be thrown off if either the other party, a lender, an escrow company uses one versus the other. You don't have to be overly technical. It's just that amendment form is underused, and there's a lot of circumstances where it's actually really helpful because it has that expiration built into it. So hope that helps, addendums and amendments. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you learned something or if this helped you solve a problem, follow me for more.